Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coaches around the world, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It is your boy, the road dog, with none other than Dr. Karl Bryan, hashtag not a doctor. Welcome to the show, Shoots.
Thank you, Shoots. Thank you, Shoots. Thank you. What's going on? You've been in marathon training, by the way, I noticed. How's that going?
I have been in marathon training. I've actually got 6 miles I've got to run today because I didn't do it yesterday, because I didn't sleep the night before, because of almost a fire in the house. Anyways, so it's been a bit of a gong show, but 6 miles coming up today, Shoots. Just a nice, easy little 6 miler. So I still love these short distances. It's still
run 6 miles. Curious.
What's that?
How long does it take you to run 6 miles? Let's say.
This is the biggest lesson, and this is what's interesting, right? The biggest lesson that I'm learning currently, and it is the hardest thing to do. In your training, you are supposed to deliberately be running slower, right? My problem is I'm like, okay, I've only got X number of time. I got to get out there. I got to do this. I got to do a 10-minute mile. It should take me no longer than 1 hour to do this. That's pretty much what would be normal for me. Yeah. But when I'm trying to, even by saying, no, I'm going to run a 12-minute mile, and just that extra 12 minutes, it kills me. Like I almost can't put my ego aside long enough for me to be like, no, run slower. It's actually going to be more beneficial for you at the end. It's crazy. It's so crazy.
Reminds me of a saying, insane speed requires immense clarity. So there you go. So it's a little step backwards to take many forward, Shoots, but there you go. A lesson in patience for our business coaches listening. Well done.
There it is. And other than that, I watched I'm Not Your Guru once again on over the weekend. It was good as per usual. It's amazing. Just sometimes just whatever you need at that time, but I'm always pulling new pieces out of it. So there you go. What about you? You watch any new shows or movies? What's on your TV these days?
But I watched. You know what I watched? I watched half an episode of Megan.
Oh my God!
Right? I don't know. It's kind of like a love story. But anyway, it's not getting great reviews. But whatever. Watch that. I did watch. I don't know. You know what? I watched something else, but I can't think of what it is. So we'll keep. I don't know. Unless you
clearly memorable. You know what? But if you're gonna talk about like Harry and Meghan, if you're like, why not just queue it up with? Well, my wife was watching, and I kind of got sucked in for half an episode, rather than
that. Shoots. Honest. That's what happened. My wife's watching. She's like, "Oh, you got to watch it. You got to watch it." The poor couple. I respect. You know what I mean? She takes the. I think women will watch it and then men will watch it maybe with a different vantage point. But I just went, look, okay, great. You know what I mean? Like, so just keep moving on with my life because it just doesn't look like there's a lot there for me. So I kept moving, Shoots.
So speaking of moving on, I love it for them. They're just like, hey, we're moving to America to get out of the spotlight and to have some privacy and live private lives. Oh, by the way, we're going to do a Netflix special. Like, settle down, Anyways, funny how that works. Hey, listen, speaking of standing out, oh man, these transitions are getting better and better. Like, it's amazing how this works. To stand out as a small business owner, and I know as business coaches, consultants, we try and help our clients do that. Inside of Focus.com, you guys have developed the market dominating position. So how do you do that? how do you create a market dominating position for a small business? Like as a coach, what do I need to do? Is there a framework? What insights can you pull from that ginormous cranium of yours today?
Straight from the pre-show, wasn't it? Shoot. So there we go.
There
The pre always comes up with some magic. So here it is. You've got a USP, unique selling proposition versus a market dominating position. First question, get it all, you know what I mean? Heard this lots, like Karl, is that the same thing? The answer is no. So hopefully if you're listening to this, you know what a unique selling proposition is. It's just something that separates you, it separates your client, makes them different, right? But a market dominating position, the way that it's significantly more powerful is that it solves a primary issue for the end client, or like a hot button issue, right? So step number one would be to go to your clients and then ask them, what's the number one what's the number one challenge that your clients have, right? So like an example of that, let's use a daycare as an example. So you've got a daycare, and what they will say, if we call up 10 people that own daycares and we ask them, what's the major issue for your client? What is the thing that you need to solve? They'll be like money and time, money and location. Like how much is it? And then where are you? Because those are the two first questions that mom will ask when she calls up to drop the kids. Well, the issue there is that if you go a little bit deeper, you're going to find that that is not the primary issue. The primary issue is accountability, right? So if you wanted to stand out, you could be like an accelerated learning center. So that would separate you, and that would give you differentiation, and quite frankly, probably create a really kick butt daycare. But really what we need is a market dominating position. Is we have to solve the number one problem, right? So number one problem being accountability. So a market dominating position for the daycare would be a web watch where the parents could log on the internet, watch the kids, make sure they're safe, make sure they're having fun. And then that would be solving the issue of accountability for mom, right? So that's the market dominating position. So in a nutshell, survey end clients, go deeper than what their initial questions are, because their initial question is always going to be how much. And that's why all the small business owners of the world think that, their clients buy on price and that they are somehow different than the others. But at the end of the day, that's it. So market dominating position solves a problem for the end client. So that's how you get it. And then what happens, like it doesn't need to be world conquering, in that, if time, rolling up on time is the issue for your clients, I'll tell you, you'd be surprised how well that would go over as a market dominating position in the right niche. But generally speaking, that's probably not going to be strong enough, because that's the, more like a surface level issue as opposed to a, hot button issue or primary concern of the end client. So you actually create your business, your uniqueness around solving the problem. And it comes back, road dog. We talk about it all the time. Do you have an idea, Karl? Is this a good idea? Karl, will this idea make money? Is this a profitable idea? And the spidey senses need to turn, in my opinion, to problems, right? So change your spidey senses from ideas to problems. And then the question is, can you solve them? And this is how you can have an enormous amount of success. So that's it, Shoots. That's the answer, bud. That's the answer.
Okay, so now, again, speaking of separation, because, you are the big shooter, you are the big deal. What separates you, Dr. Karl Bryan, aside from not being a real doctor, from other coach of the coaches? How's that for a question?
Okay, so what separates me from what? Sorry, man.
From the other sort of coach of the coaches, if you will, right? Like when it comes to why am I listening to you, Shoots, and not I'm not going to drop names here, but you know what I mean? Like why you? What makes you different?
It's a good question. First of all, you know what I mean? It's not me, you know, it's focus.com. It's a company, it's the software. So, what separates me? It's a good question. Well, we effectively invented software for the business coaching industry, right? Also invented the process of finding any business owner 100 grand in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising, which is basically a process for getting clients falling off a log. Because what you're doing is you're providing value and you're basically paying for yourself before you even start. We also created the 4-day training on how to read financial statements and find your high-end coaching fees prior to starting with your new high-end coaching client. In other words, that's a little bit of a theme where we try to I always say you don't have a client problem, you don't have a money problem, you have a refusal to help people before they pay you problem, right? So like a lot of what we've done in the way that we position our coaches and we encourage them to position themselves is that I'm going to come in and find my fees before we even get started. If I don't find my fees, logically, you wouldn't move forward with me, right? So, but I think like the practical, like I have done, the practical, like I've actually been in the trenches and done it. Like I built a $5.5 million coaching company. We used to do $400,000 a month in new small business coaching clients. So been there, done that, legitimately got the postcard. And then with that and the framework that I had back then, and we still have literally today, is that there's 3 baskets to build a business coaching company. And that is lead generation, that is conversion, and then that is fulfillment, right? So there's 3 baskets and you just got to solve the problems for each of the 3 baskets. You got to be able to generate the leads. You got to be able to convince the business owner, the chiropractor, dentist, butcher, baker, candlestick maker to give you the credit card, sign the paperwork, and agree to the $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year coaching, hypothetically, whatever the rates are, higher, lower. And then you got to be able to fulfill, right? Like again, most people try to build a 7-figure coaching company and they think it's a lead generation problem. And if you want to build a 7-figure coaching company with 1,000,000% certainty, the lead gen won't be what will stop you. It may stop you, but it's not the thing that's going to stop you. It's the most scientific of all things that you'll do in coaching. It's the fulfillment, because the fulfillment takes the time, right? So you've got the 3 baskets, and again, I've closed coaching clients, in back rooms, living rooms, boardrooms. I sold a $10,000 coaching program in a bathroom one time, and yes, it stunk. So that's I think that the practical, it's like Road Dog, live event mastery, right? Like I have done over 400 local live events. You and I did a local live event, and we got 100% conversion, and that's not conversion to appointment, but that's conversion to high-end coaching client right there in the room, right? I didn't get 100% conversion because like I was really on that day, or with like an amazing audience, or an amazing venue, or an amazing day, or just a fluke. It's because I've done it hundreds and hundreds of times prior. My practice, I had my reps in. You know what I mean? So when you're going to do a local live event and we provide you direction, you could be, very, very confident that if you follow live event mastery and the framework that we have, you'll absolutely be able to do well. So anyway, so I think that's it, Road Dog. I started in 2004, 2005, and it's all I've done since. So like, what's that? That's 18 years as we record, and I plan, and importantly, I plan to do it for another 18. Like I'm not about to go into crypto. I'm not going into NFTs. I'm not going to go decide that real estate is my new thing, right? Like this is what I do. And quite frankly, that is a hack to success. I always say that business coaches that have the toughest time that fail are the ones that go day to day, week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, deciding if they're going to keep going, right? Like if you do that, it's not in your soul, and you're not going to be the person that's going to crush it. You got to go all in. And that's definitely, like I've got that just an insatiable appetite for info, and this is just my passion, man. If you want to have more, do more, and be more, it begins with that voice that nobody else hears, right? And again, I question anybody listening, like, what is, do you want to have more? Do you want to do more? Do you want to be more? Then my question is, what does that voice say to you in between your ears, right? Like my inner voice really pushes me my story, my big brother committed suicide when I was 16 years old over a business failing. So I've got that, that absolutely motivates me at a very high level, debatably, um, too high, and that, that inner voice can beat me up a little bit. But it certainly pushes me and keeps me going. And I'm looking, I think we said this last week, or maybe it's the week before, but, I'm looking for reasons to advance, not retreat, right? Momentum is a force multiplier. Do you have momentum working in your favor, right? And again, it doesn't need to be a massive bit of momentum. It doesn't need to be a huge step forward. Momentum is momentum. Just, think of, walking, maybe even it's crawling before you get to the point of running. Maybe it's a little bit road dog like you were talking earlier. And sometimes going a little bit slower is a good idea. Now, if you're learning how to drive, how would you go if I put you in an F1 car, right? It'd work out very, very poorly, and it would involve an accident. I would be amazed if not, right? Because it's just a little bit too much power for you, right? So going a little bit slower is a good thing. And just like the influencers, like on Facebook, they're trying to capture your power of focus to enrich their power of focus, right? Like they're focusing on their bank account versus your bank account is what I'm trying to say, right? And frankly, if you go, well, why is that? It's because they need to, and maybe that's an exaggeration. And yes, there's anomalies and that sort of thing. And by the way, I don't want to make out like I'm Mother Teresa here. But I just tell you that there's a lot of folks out there that are, they're working it out as they go. That's just the reality. And that is not the case 18 years into it. So the answer, Road Dog, I just say my experience in the trenches, closing clients and working with small business clients of all shapes and sizes. I've just done that. And again, I got so busy so quickly that I had to bring on coaches to manage the clients. Otherwise, I was going to have to stop building. So I did that early on, and I've literally done that to this day. I've had a team of coaches working for me since, I guess it's 2005. So I guess translation, Road Dog, I don't know if I'm probably doing a poor job here, but I'm not just experienced in coaching coaches on how to coach. You know what I mean? Like the doctor, I've done the prac, as in the practical application. But what separates Focus.com is our software and the application of and its ability to be able to find any business owner 100 grand 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. And what we hear from our coaches time and time again is that it fast forwards their coaching / consulting career 10 years, because they know exactly what to ask, when to ask it, the order to ask it, and then the subsequent results, because again, there's percentages and hard numbers, that build up in the software to be able to find that 100 grand in 45 minutes. So Road Dog, that's the answer. Shoot, it's been I've been in the trenches, man. So I don't know that all folks can. I don't know that a lot of the players of decent size can say that. So that's my answer. Shoots.
Okay, so just to follow up on that, because you've been doing this for about 63 years, so that's cool. Any regrets? Seriously, any regrets along the way in your career?
Shoots. Is that a question sent in?
No, that's just me asking.
Nice. Regrets on my coaching career. Shoots. There you go. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you the greatest regret. So let's say that we interview 80s and 80-year-olds and 90-year-olds. That were surveyed on regret. I can tell you that their answer, it's not going to be that they wish they made more money or they took more risks or they wish they started the business, spent more time with family. Although those are the types of things that are going to hit the list, and that's probably pretty obvious, right? But the one that's consistent across the board is that I wish I wasn't so hard on myself. So long-term relationships take forgiveness and lots of it. So research suggests that you should maybe give that gift to yourself. So I guess what I'm trying to say, Road Dog, I have managed to be, successful, by most people's measures over, consistent, like a couple of decades, consistently. So, but I have beat on myself a little bit and been very hard on myself at different times. So I would say that, and I would say for anybody listening, if you were to agree with that, I can tell you that that is not my opinion. That is, very scientifically out there, and that 80 and 90-year-old folks were interviewed, and that's what they said. So I would ask anybody listening, are you giving yourself that gift of forgiveness? And that might be an example of Road Dog earlier talking about maybe going a little bit slower in marathon training in order to, get, the best possible result on the day that the marathon hits. Because it's kind of like a step backward to take many forwards, being a little bit more forgiving. And again, when you're 80 and 90, that's what you're going to wish. So do it. I think maybe Road Dog might. So I'm thinking like a business answer here because I don't think that's what you're looking for. I just say Road Dog. So a regret that I would have is not going all in on education earlier. Like I feel like I did go all in it. I thought I was going all in on it, but I didn't really know what all in was. Like I'd take on an example. I would take on clients, and I was very good at getting clients, never had a problem. And what I would do is I would only take on personal clients, personal coaching clients that I felt like I could learn something, right? So again, they were advertising on the front page of the newspaper. They had a multi-million-dollar business. They had an engineering firm, and I'd never worked with an engineering firm. And if you own an engineering firm, you're highly, highly analytical. And for my personality type, that's different than me. So I felt like there was something, of value there. But that wasn't all in because like those folks, although they had businesses that I could learn from, it's not like learning from Charlie Munger. It's not like learning from Warren Buffett. It's not like learning from Michael Dell. You know what I mean? Like that level of intelligence, although they were doing a really good campaign and they were spending, seven figures on marketing when I came in, and I felt like definitely something I could learn there. Um, when you're learning, you gotta look at the quality of the folks that you're listening to. Common, for me to say that, like I'm not studying the millionaires, I'm studying the billionaires and what they're doing, and then I'm trying to dummy all of that stuff down and bring that into, quote unquote, the business coaching world into my world, which leaks out into the software, the community, the Q&A calls, etc. Because I'll tell you this, Road Dog, the reality is that very, very smart people build the biggest companies, right? So you look at Jeff Bezos. I don't think anybody could look at Jeff Bezos and not say that's a very intelligent, slightly nerdy, analytical individual, right? And Bill Gates, like, come on, right? Like the guy, he's the definition of a nerd in a good way, right? Done very well for him. Mark Zuckerberg. This is not the guy. You know what I mean? He wouldn't fall into the charismatic conversation, I don't think. What he would fall into is the stupidly intelligent. Well, he went to Harvard, right? Harvard's not let you in unless you're insanely intelligent. Elon Musk, same thing. I mean, the guy, he's just so intelligent, it's almost scary, right? Steve Jobs would fall into that. And again, Steve Jobs, very different, did not go to Harvard. Well known that he didn't even, he had no interest in graduating from college. All he wanted to do was go do the courses that he actually wanted, you know what I mean, that he felt had value, and then he just walked out the back door. But my dad says he went straight through university, in the front door, out the back. so there's an element of DNA there for sure. My dad has, actually an insanely high IQ. He's just smarter than the average bear, and nothing's going to stop that. As in, like nature over nurture. So if you have a high IQ, you have got a competitive advantage when building a business, and that is undeniable. And again, I think that there would be a lot of influencer types and talking about, the microphone and the camera and being charismatic and having that outgoing personality. But you give me the nerdy, analytical, math type over the charismatic one all day long and twice on Sunday. So yeah, that's what I think, Shoots. And the good news maybe, so if somebody's listening and then they don't have really, really high IQ, they might be a bit, and you're listening to a guy without a high IQ. And I think what I've done is just through sheer determination, I've become more intelligent. Like you can absolutely train yourself. You can teach yourself to become significantly smarter. And again, I believe, like Road Dog, and ironically, your marathon training is coming up multiple times here today. But by going slow versus by going fast, with 1,000,000% certainty, if you're going to go do the course and you want to learn how to code, you want to learn how to do accounting, you want to learn how to read financial statements, you want to learn how to build a funnel, you want to learn how to do Facebook advertising, you'd be significantly better off going slowly than going quickly. What you actually have to do is immerse yourself, right? Like if I wanted to learn how to speak French, I would not go and sign up for a course. I'd get in an airplane, I would drop myself in the middle of Paris and try order coffee, right? And I would do it, like total immersion. There's a reason why Tony Robbins does 52-week, 52 hour, seminars, right? Or, 4 full days, that go early until late. There's a reason why he does that. He doesn't do an hour a week for the year, right? He believes in total immersion. And I believe in that as well when you're trying to learn something. So if you were going to do the course, I think slow over fast, and I think immersion over long period of time, right? So, you're not going to get a genius IQ, but you can dramatically jack up your intelligence in a short period of time if you're reading the right books and following the right people, right? But most people, Road Dog, we know this too well. What would they rather do? They'd rather watch Netflix, right? And so that's a hack. You got to discipline yourself to learn. And how do you do that? Like calendarize it, schedule it. If I look at your calendar, is there thinking time? Is there time to think, TTT? Is there time to measure? And is there time calendarized for you to get to the audio, get to the video, do the course? And remember, there's the audio, there's the video, there's the course. No, actually, there's the audio, there's the video, and there's the 10-minute YouTube. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And then there's the 15, 20, 25-hour course, right? I suggest that what you should do is do the book summary version, like the 10-minute on YouTube. And if there's something, and maybe it's NLP, and maybe it's sales, and maybe it's accounting, and maybe it's reading financial statements, and maybe it's building funnels, etc., I would encourage you to go and find, like really immerse yourself in it, as opposed to think that you watched a 10-minute video, you got the hack, and now you're going to be able to do it. Like really dive in. A bit like, I guess that's the marathon versus the sprint, right? Like begin with the end in like mental models, right? Like skill set without mindset, right, is totally useless, right? So like mental models can jack up your intelligence in a very real and tangible way. So think of them as frames. We often talk about frames, right? Like begin with the end in mind, right? That's like an example of a frame. But like the book, what's it called? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think that's it. Stephen Covey, right? Dr. Stephen Covey, may he rest in peace. But look, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is just 7 mental models that Stephen Covey thought were the best. That's all it is, right? So those are just mental models. Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Work Week, you just put 80-20 on the top. That's just a book about 80-20, which is a mental model, right? So and again, 80-20 is about slowing down so that you can speed up. Insane speed requires immense clarity, right? It's like Road Dog, the book Outsiders. It's a book on the importance of not going with your gut, or going with or becoming the flashy influencer type. It's a book that suggests the biggest successes are built. Actually, it doesn't suggest. It gives you hard, concrete examples that the biggest successes are built on the number one commodity in the world, which is data, right? So gut stands for gave up thinking. You want to go with the data. You're going to do an experiment. If you're going to run a Facebook ad, what I would challenge you to do is put up, let's just say you're going to spend, it could be $5,000, $50,000, or far more, right? But let's just say you're going to spend $5,000 on a Facebook ad campaign. Spend $5,000 on hard advertising. At the end of the $5,000, what I want you to do is come back and show me the data. So look at it as an experiment. as opposed to see it as an exercise in trying to get clients, which, by the way, that is one of the bits of data, but it is not, that is not the whole thing. Like, what often happens is that somebody will be driving traffic to a landing page, and then they make a tweak and it increases the conversion to the landing page. But when you go from conversion or, opt-in to phone call to the actual phone call, or calendarizing the phone call, to doing the actual phone call, to handing over a credit card, sometimes the increase on the front end of the opt-ins will decrease the number of credit cards that you get on the other end. But very few people will take the data and measure it the whole way through, right? So that, Road Dog. And that's what I would say. Regret, Road Dog, is just going in on, going all in on education, and just understanding that, again, the Warren Buffetts, the Charlie Mungers, it's like Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher was like the greatest driver of all, F1 driver of all time. And if he wasn't, maybe Ayrton Senna might. Bottom line, Michael Schumacher is one of the greats of the greats of the great. Nobody would deny that he's not top 3 of all time, I don't think. Well, the thing with him is that he was a mechanic. Right. What people don't know is that he came back into the pits and he was telling the guys he needs this tinkered, that tinkered. He was telling the mechanics what they're going to have to work on inside the car. And he could tell when he was driving. Right. It's like, Michael Jordan Michael Jordan was known for his offense and one of the most unbelievable basketball players of all time, if not the greatest of all time, which I believe that he is. Right. But he won Defensive Player of the Year. Right. Multiple times, by the way. Like, it's so, it's, just going all in. And by the way, why did Michael Jordan do that? Because he did his homework and he worked out that defense wins championships, and he'd heard that, and he knew that he was already dialed in on the offense, but now it was time to, dial in on the defense. And who better to lead by example, or lead the team, but, leading by example was him. So he did the offense. And by the way, in his offensive numbers, really didn't get hurt that much by his unbelievable defensive play. He actually found that the unbelievable, by being so good defensively, gave him more opportunities to get the ball in good positions to be able to, get the ball back up court and score, even more points than he was prior. So there you go, Shoots. That's what I don't know. What do you think? What's my
Yeah, just I kind of, to almost put a bow on this, I've heard you say conscientiousness is critical, right, for business success. I just, can you expand on that thought, sort of, and I guess, and how to improve it? Not just, just expand on that, how conscientiousness is critical for business success, but also how to improve it.
Yeah, nice. And yeah, high five, because there is no doubt conscientiousness, if you could pick one trait for the person that's going to run your company, it would be that. So there's different personality tests, right? There's a psychometric personality test called Hexaco. And research suggests it's more accurate than the Myers-Briggs, which I think anybody listening here would be very familiar with the Myers-Briggs and not familiar with Hexaco. And I think there's 4 other primary ones. Not going to go into those. Have a look. Decide for yourself which one you're going to do, which one you're going to help your client through. But Hexaco test does, I think it's 24 to 26 facets of your personality. And then effectively, look, there's 4 parts to conscientiousness. There's organization, perfectionism, prudence, and diligence, right? So just real quick, diligence is hard work, right? So work hard, you know what I mean? 101, but don't expect this to make you successful, because otherwise the laborer would be making more than the manager, and the manager would be making more than the owner, right? Presumably because the laborer is working harder than the manager, and the manager is working harder than the owner is what I mean there, right? So we all know that, smart work to do, but diligence, but hard work, make no mistake about it. You want to crush it, you've got to be able to work hard. 4-hour work week just does not really exist. And Bill Gates don't do it, Bezos didn't do it, Jobs didn't do it. It's just it's give me a break thing, right? Once you make it and you crush it, like Bezos might be doing 4-hour work weeks now, and getting a decent amount done in those 4 hours, but he wouldn't do that anyways, right? He would be, I think hard work is something to be, there's nothing wrong with working hard, my opinion. But anyways, that's diligence. Perfectionism is the ability to do and complete good work. When nurses in the ICU created a checklist for what should be done, the average stay in the ICU dropped by like more than half. And no doubt, you wouldn't want to fly on a plane where the pilot hadn't done his or her pre-flight checklist, right? Or a checklist at a grocery store. Per year, it could literally save you tens of thousands per quarter, save you thousands. And what it really does is it stops the impulse purchases, and then saves extra trips, because the extra trips doubles that impulse buying, right? So little caveat, somebody tell my wife, and probably road dogs too. So there you go. Checklist. But the pilot, what does the pilot do? Checks and double checks everything. And by the way, with a partner, right? Like the co-pilot. So question, and nobody here listening, you've heard that before, no doubt, right? But question, when you get in your car, do you walk around it? Do you check the tires? Do you do that? And the answer is probably no. And maybe you should, right? Because I can tell you that if you are between the age of 30 and I believe it's 65, the number 2 way that you will die is in a car crash. So, careful with that. Bottom line is that, perfectionism, being able to do and complete good work is important. And then organization is another one. Like an example is using a calendar diligently. Using a calendar with, like on my, I've got somebody who manages, my stuff, but certainly my calendar at a high degree, and it's color coded like crazy, right? And not only is it color coded, but I follow it, and then different colors allow me to know that, this is what's coming, right? I don't even know I just, like it's a, yeah, so it's color coded. I think that's probably straightforward, but is yours, right? Like you got to have a plan for your day. You got to, like, ending the day with an empty inbox. Like people that can do that, I'm insanely jealous of, especially those who can shut down their tabs, right? But make a conscious effort to do it and stay organized. I am not that guy. I am, disorganized by nature, but I also understand that. And what I try to do is I try to surround myself with highly organized people. That's the way that I combat that. And that might provide some value. That is another hack to be able to, up all this, this conscientiousness. If you're just not organized, surround yourself, hire somebody who's organized, surround yourself with organized people, right? But prudence is the big one in conscientiousness. It's, Road Dog, if I were to put it into a sentence, what would it be? It'd be the ability to make the right, not the ability to make a decision, but the ability to make the right decision, right? We got to capitalize, bold, and italicize right. Tony Robbins would say that, are you running in the wrong direction looking for a sunset, right? Are you the kind of person that goes to your garden and chants, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, right? Where there's clearly weeds. So what he's going to say is, let's find the buggers and let's pull them out and let's do it immediately, right? So, or it's the guy who's 5 feet tall trying to make the NBA. Probably not going to work out, right? Unless then somebody's going to say Muggsy Bogues and somebody's going to say Spud Webb. But yeah, look, it worked for them, but show me like somebody else who's 5 feet tall, crush it in the NBA. Like it just doesn't happen as a general rule, right? So, if you can't do grade 8 math, trying to become an accountant might not be the right career path for you, right? Or maybe on a different kind of track is that somebody, Road Dog, took all of their money and they put all of it into crypto, and didn't follow anything like an asset allocation framework, right? Well, how did that? They looked like a genius a short time ago, and today they don't look so great, depending upon when you're listening to this. But if crypto is down in the toilet, and it is today, not looking so good. It's like investing in stocks and not doing dollar cost averaging. It's buying Facebook ads because the guy says that it's a good idea, right? But you don't have a funnel and you don't really know what you're doing, and you don't have staff and you don't have a sales team. Is that a good idea? And the answer is way better places to start than that. But it sounds sexy and everybody wants to be able to make Facebook work, right? Well, that's making the wrong decision, not making the right decision as a general rule, right? Or it's starting the business and not getting a coach or some guidance, right? Like you don't learn to read English You don't learn to play football. You don't learn to play baseball. You wouldn't learn how to do chess. You wouldn't learn how to play the guitar. You wouldn't learn how to act in a play without a coach, without a mentor, right? So why would you do business without a mentor? Doesn't make any sense, right? So this is something, by the way, you want to be saying to local business owner, the chiropractor, the dentist, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, right? Like, are you crazy? You know what I mean? You're trying to do this with no guidance, without somebody watching over your shoulder, without guiding you. Like, the best way to build a business with 100% certainty is with somebody, not just a mentor, but a real mentor, and somebody who can show you what a real mentor is. Somebody who can show you what not to do. But like, the best way to build a business is with a mentor who looks over your shoulder and guides you, right? So not does it for you. It's not the done for you solution, right? Um, so that's the best way to do it. So become that person, but running the wrong direction, hoping, looking for a sunset, not a good idea here, right? Like, and the problem here though is the dumbest guy in the city with zero work ethic, zero organizational skills, and not the ability to double check his work, invested in crypto 3 years ago and looked like an absolute genius, right? So there's always an anomalies here. And by the way, he took money off the table, so he still looks like a genius. He didn't let it all go to zero, which we all know that story. I personally know folks that have just lost millions and millions of dollars over the last very short period of time, right? Or it's the guy that wins the lottery, shoots, right, and then and then his buddy decides he's going to buy lottery tickets as his plan, and it's like, look, sorry, it's just not happening for you, right? So I've got a buddy who says if you buy a lottery ticket, you're already a loser. And by the way, I know two people. One is my neighbor in Kelowna, and another one who won. I think one won 40 million, and the other one worth 125 million. So maybe that's giving you some bad advice. But personally, I'm not buying lottery tickets. I'm listening to audios, videos. I'm trying to find my own true north. So shortcut to success. Your true north. If you're listening to this, follow time-tested roadmap and follow mentors. Step one of AA is to admit that you are lost, right? So if, you won't close unless they are first open. You won't close unless you're first open. What I'm trying to say is that this isn't about, selling a coaching program, but it is about opening yourself up. Admitting that you're lost is very hard to do, and no one wants to do it, by the way, right? But when you admit that you were lost, the mentors, the answers, don't they just kind of start to show up, right? And where do they come from? Books, audios, videos, courses, podcasts, right? So shoots. I don't know. Bottom line, smart people build great companies. Great companies are built off great products, by the way. And smart people build great products, right? So be smart. Work to become smart. Conscientiousness is absolutely something I believe that people should be working towards. And so just slow down to speed up. It's not like you can increase your IQ, but you can increase your ability to become more conscientious. And I say this to my daughter all the time. She gets so sick. She's like, I hate that word. Way to go, baby. You did that in a conscientious way. She's like, oh my gosh. But folks, be prudent and learn to make the right decisions. And making a decision is better than not making a decision. But making the right decision can literally save you a decade. And using mental models and using frameworks, like begin with the end in mind, 80-20, the one domino that will knock over the other dominoes, that sort of thing. Just it can fast forward success and the level of success, by the way, in a literally immeasurable way. Like you become exponentially more successful by doing things in the right orders. And by the way, are your mentors, so you're choosing mentors, like, are they conscientious? Do they operate in a conscientious way? Have they built system? Have they built software? And obviously we have built software, so I'm conveniently dropping that, but you're not going to build software at the level that we have built software without doing it in an insanely conscientious way. And then we've tried to take that same conscientious approach and build tracks around onboarding and build tracks around role playing with the software, and then building tracks around lead generation and tracks around sales. You know what I mean? Like we try to do that in a conscientious way. So are you doing it in a conscientious way? And the mentors that you're choosing, are they doing it in a conscientious way? And I think you should be thinking about that. So anywho, shoots, that's what I got, bud. What do you think, man?
I'm thinking that if I would have had you give me $1 every time you said conscientious, I'd have about $358 by now. So there's that. There you go, Shoots. Hey, listen, okay. The one thing. What's the one thing from today? What's one thing that you would say, take that and apply it to your business today?
Don't repeat the word conscientious too much so that Road Dogg says what he just said. That would be one, folks. What would be one? Forget, you know what? That you're going to be 80, you're going to be 90, and you're going to look back and you're going to say, I wish I was more forgiving on myself. And again, I encourage you to also consider being significantly more forgiving with your spouse, with your children, all sort of, your friends, relationships, your coworkers, your clients, etc. So I think forgiveness is really, really powerful, Shoots. And I think it is a little bit of a step back. It's that half a step back to take many forwards. That's what I'm going to say, Shoots, because that was it's kind of what I said as a regret to date. But I'm going to make a conscientious and a conscious effort to improve that, Shoots. That's what I'm going to do. And I hope somebody listening would do the same. So that's what I got. That's my answer. What do you think?
I love that because it's that is, we are our own worst critic. We are the bottleneck. We are the problem, but also the solution. So there you go. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the King of the Caribbean, Dr. King Karl, who is actually not at all a doctor and is definitely not a practicing doctor. I hope not anyways. But if you're not on the inside and getting access to the pre-show, or you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, or just want more information how to grow or expand or start your own coaching business, go to focused.com and subscribe today. And again, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share it, and please also leave a review, as we know that will move us up the old ranking system. And that is it for another week, folks. Remember, progress equals happiness. We'll see you in the next episode.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra $1 on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.